sons of God. They the ones who done left the yard. When they come in, son, they rep hard. Sin I no fun in their squads. There they go, they the sons of God. What up, what up, what up? Ladies and gentlemen, we are back again. As much as you tried to get rid of us, we are back. This is Across the Intersection podcast. I got the whole crew in here. This is AJ. I'm in here with Eve and A Sizzle.
Yo.
Hey, everyone.
As always, you can get us where podcasts are ingested. That is Spotify and Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Google Play, and Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and the clouds of sound. You can hit us up on the interwebs at divemedia.co. That is divemedia.co. We are on the socials, I should say, at This Is Dive Media. This is Dive Media at everything. That's Facebook, Twitter, and the Instagram. And I'm on all those things as well at Divenomous, Divenomous.
And I'm still on E to the V to the over there on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Avery's face.
Hold on. No. I don't have nothing.
I just keep hearing them.
No, I was just shouting out. I was just shouting out. AJ up in the spot blinging today.
Oh Lordy.
This dude is on his Trinidad James. That is a serious wristwatch, man. All gold plated everything.
This joint is 0.14 karat gold, player.
Gold plated all up in my watch.
This is Tobago James. I couldn't even rock Trinidad. This is the Tobago James. Anyway. Oh, you done got me off what I was going to say.
Funny. It's Trinidad DC James.
There it is. King James. Oh, man. Anyway, we just going to get it in, folks, as always. And if you want to connect with us on Telegram, we have a Telegram group. Please hit us up on the individual, and we will shoot you out the link to connect with us on Telegram. After we do that good check. You know, we don't want no trolls up in there.
Nah, no moles, no FBI informants. Talking too much.
Anyway, hit us up if you want to take it off air. We have a Telegram group that we're trying to expand and grow. We know a lot of people that, like the show, listen to the show. So if you want to connect with us on the personal, get at us, and we can hit you up with the Telegrip. Anyway, we're just going to cut right to the chase. Some weeks we do banter, some weeks we're not going to do banter, but I feel like this whole show might end up being banter, so might as well just go ahead and get it in.
Get it in. Okay.
So your man, my man, everybody's man, Kanye West.
Woo.
He released Jesus is King a couple weeks ago, and I figured we let the initial wave die down because everybody want to have their hot take and they want to be first. In the words of Denzel Washington, they ain't got to be right. They just want to be first.
Okay, what movie is that?
No, it was he was interviewed about 6 months ago.
Oh, it was an interview?
It was an interview.
Talking about the news.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we let everybody have their hot take and let it die down.
Roman J. Israel.
Yeah, there it is. You like that.
I like that film, by the way.
So we figured we
just
sit
like
down
saying
now.
the name. I think the name is funny anyway.
Oh, Roman Israel?
Roman J. Israel. Get it right.
Oh, excuse me. So figure we just, now that we've had a chance to let it marinate, listen, pause, put it down, listen some more, marinate, we could kind of give some real good thoughts on it rather than first thoughts, but now like just some legitimate thoughts. So what say you?
Maybe the spirit moved on somebody, not just think with the head, but you got to move by the spirit as well.
There it is, the spirit. You might move by the spirit. So we've been moved by the spirit now, and we just want to ask the question, is Jesus still king? That's the question. Is he? I don't know. Y'all sound like y'all a little quiet. You're like, well, I don't know, man. Give us Caesar.
I mean, you kind of...
That question was a double entendre.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say.
You like that?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out. I guess he's trying to...
It's a play on words, as we say in the industry.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Play on words.
What industry are you talking about?
Woo! Not the oldest
food industry?
Not the oldest industry.
Okay. You're not talking about the music industry. You ain't in the music industry.
Oh, nah. You have to make music to be in the music industry.
Okay.
Although, I don't know. Y'all keep messing around. Your boy might get back on the mic. I'm just saying.
Uh-oh.
For all of my people who've been wanting to support us on Patreon, I actually might get back on the mic to get you jokers active on Patreon.
Yeah,
good, because I like that intro.
That's the excuse. Okay.
Yeah, that's the excuse. Yeah,
All right, we got you.
So anyway, Jesus is king. Is he king? Did this album definitively answer that question?
Well, see, okay, so then that's where I need to jump in, because
get him.
I was actually listening to the album from a sonic perspective or an artistic perspective. I actually did not expect much from the album as a gospel album, because just like with Mace, a generation ago or 2 decades ago, when he left the so-called secular industry and came in and decided he wanted to do, Christ-focused rap, his lyrics reflected his age in Christ.
So hold on, pause right there. I'm going to pause that right there. For my millennials out there who might not have any idea what you just mentioned. So in the late 90s, there was a New York rapper named Mason Betha.
You talking like, dude.
Ask somebody.
I'm a millennial, bro. Like
you just barely. I'm talking about somebody
quote unquote millennial.
You are just barely.
You're referring to like Generation Z and whatnot. People know who Mason
is. You're not a
is.
millennial.
Okay, you think?
All right, Eva, don't hate.
You think?
Oh no, I'm trying to pull you out from that category.
I was going to say
Eva super hate mode activated.
But anyway, he was a rapper from New York in the late 90s, signed to Bad Boy, who quote unquote, met Christ, came to Christ, started doing gospel-y, and then later on eventually went back doing, Welcome Back. Remember that joint?
Well, what he did was, I don't think that, and I could be wrong, somebody correct me.
He was pastoring too.
That's what I'm about to say. Somebody correct me if I'm mistaken. I don't think he came out with any music. I think he just started pastoring. He might have had one.
I think he did a track. I don't think he did
an album. I think he might have had this one song that kind of had a Just Blaze kind of sound to it. But that's about all I remember. I don't remember any full album or anything like that. Anyway, you were saying?
So I guess I didn't have much of a high expectation in terms of content. So honestly, I did not listen to Jesus is King from that angle.
Right.
I really listened to it because, I really listened to it from a sonic perspective.
You were getting your sneak Kanye fix. We got you.
Yeah. I've actually never been a Kanye fan. But I really, really, really liked it from that angle. I didn't hear anything that was too, that blasphemed in any particular way. I didn't hear much extra biblical or unbiblical content that caused me to sort of pause. So besides that, I didn't really listen to it for content, but I really liked it with the exception of one song. And I thought it was very creative. It wasn't just, the run of the mill rap album. So even according to contemporary sonic standards, it was just very creative, and I really enjoyed it. And this was on first rotation.
So I heard, just in a quick response, I heard something that was unbiblical. He said that he pays taxes plus he tithes. That's over half of the pie. That's what he said, and I'm like, unless he giving up 1/10 of them alpacas out there in Wyoming, that's not tithing. But anyway, that's just a little peccadillo that has, that's more of a biblical understanding of what tithing is. Woo! But that hits everybody. That hits a lot of people, not just Yeezy.
And of course, he said that he ain't trying to be dancing with the stars, so he can't.
Yeah, of course. So that's why that's why he has to charge the prices that he charged.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, Eva, I'm sorry I interrupted.
And something that might hit some of our audience the wrong way. I just want to admit that yes, there is a difference in some cases between modern Christianity and what's biblical. So when we talk about tithing, for example, the way that a lot of Christian circles even approach that topic is inconsistent with the scripture. Right. Even if we just go back to Malachi 3, that's yanked out of context. Now
that might be a topic for another show. Just throw that out there for y'all.
Yeah. But I'm saying that even if he decided, even if he decided to talk about that or some other topics according to what is considered Orthodox Christianity, it may or may not comport with 2/3 of the Bible. in
Right.
terms of quote unquote
Right.
Testament.
Facts.
So,
Facts.
yeah, like I said, I enjoyed it, and I don't really have anything of depth to say because the album wasn't particularly deep.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, sonically, as me and A were talking before we got on, was sonically. I mean, it was Kanye. It was Kanye. So there are like 2 or 3 jams on there that I rock with, like just sonic. Like, yo, this is a good song. And I mean, he's a good producer. He's a good musician. So you hear it and you're like, okay, I could rock with this. Like, they're just stuff that Kanye has made, throughout his career. You're like, man, this is just like, whew, this is a really good song.
Right.
No matter what he's saying in the joint. So I think that, that's classic, classic Yeezy. But as far as content wise, I mean, it's just, it's funny that you brought up Mace, because that's actually the first thing I thought about when I heard the album. When I sat down and just listened through the whole thing all the way through, and honestly, it did sound genuine. But Mace was the first person I thought about, and I said, man, I wonder that I don't wonder. I just was hoping for him, and I actually prayed for him, and just was hoping that the people that are surrounding this cat are, genuine, and are, that he's able to link up with people who have integrity and don't just want to, rape him of his celebrity, because that's what Christians are good at. Christians are really good at, when a celebrity comes to faith in Christ, they just want to kind of rape them for their celebrity and not necessarily allow them the room and the space to grow and mature, because there's going to be, there's growing pains, there's bumps, and there's all that, especially for someone at the level of celebrity as Kanye West. And so that was my first thing. Like, I was like, man, I just hope that this guy gets that, gets to be able to be in a community of people that would be able to, add to his growth and development, sort of nurture that. But anyway, so yeah, content wise, it just sounded like something that was made by, a spiritual infant, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. There was a time when I was a spiritual child, and the things that I put out, the things that came out of my mouth, were just that of someone who's not, mature. So there's a really good scripture in Timothy where Paul tells Timothy, he's like, yo, don't elevate people who are immature, because they're still too prideful. There's still too much going on for them, for you to be able to elevate them in the eyes of the people to like positions of leadership. And I think for Kanye to be elevated, which you already are beginning to see some of that because of his celebrity, I think that is to the detriment of his spiritual growth. And I think that that's separate from like the sonic, part of the music. So,
Eva?
Yeah, I just wanted to say there are a couple of brief examples of content that would cause me to consider retracting my statement for a couple seconds. There's a song called Closed on Sunday that he has, where he says Jezebel don't even stand a chance. And he's bringing up principles that I think, he's not recounting the Bible verse by verse, but he is bringing up principles that I think were extremely important, especially in the hip hop culture as it stands now. When he says Jezebel don't even stand a chance, that's important. He says he's a family man. He has children. He has a wife. He's trying to actually build something with his life instead of being the perpetual single, doing whatever he wanted to do before Kim Kardashian came along.
And
I like the way
and after. But anyway.
Or before this particular turn in his life.
Right.
But I think it's important to demonstrate things like Jezebel don't even stand a chance. To demonstrate I'm a husband. I value my family, and I'm giving the hand and the Heisman to somebody who tries to subvert that. So I thought that was really important.
Yeah. I don't. My view of that album is that I went ahead. I remember it dropped on a Friday. I waited till like a Saturday, and then I was like, you know what? Let me just give this a spin, cause I kind of was. I always paid. I pay attention to Kanye, but if I feel like he's doing something that I'm like, okay, this is admirable, I call him Kanye. When he's doing something that I think is silly, I call him Omari. So I call him Kanye again now. And I played the album, and I was like, wow, this is actually, I didn't know what to expect. But it really took me back because I felt like, as on an artistic level, it really rode the line, or like right in the middle of it sounding very, 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 very beautiful and strong, and then at the same time it having a quality, very important, esoteric, abstract message as the gospel. So it was not compromised, and it was we don't really get that a lot. And one album where I got that, I'm not saying that as far as content wise they're the same. They're not. They're two different albums. But one album where I feel like, okay, I get the really, really fantastic artistry, and at the same time the message is very, very clear, is Lecrae's Rehab, which I think is his best album. I think that album is one of the best albums I've heard, period, when it comes to like hip hop. And I don't know, I think Lecrae was at a point in time where there was a lot that was happening that was maybe even beyond his control, his access to resources, but at the same time, still his faithfulness to the message where he was at that point in time in his life. Not that he's not quote unquote faithful now, he's just different. Right. And I think just bringing it back to Jesus is King, for Kanye to put out this album, people say, oh, he's trying to sell music to Republicans and whatnot. And I don't necessarily think that that's the case. I do think that that's an oversimplification of what's happening. I do think that Kanye has worked to burn many, many, many bridges that a lot of celebrities would love to have.
Remember George Bush doesn't like black people.
Yeah, George Bush doesn't care about black people. Right. Yeah, he's worked, and even up until now, wearing the Trump hat, wearing the MAGA hat, talking about the president. The hat makes him feel like a superhero, and just doing all these things. The thing on TMZ and the reference to slavery that got taken out of context, but could have easily been taken out of context. So I'm not taking away from people's feelings about that, but he has done a lot of things where the average quote unquote celebrity would just kind of ride certain, like just follow the temperature where everybody else was going, and he has not done that. And so I think that where he is now at 42 or however old he is, right, I don't necessarily think that it's a form of pandering. Can it turn into that? Sure, but that could be anybody to do that.
Well, in the words of Michael Jordan, Republicans do buy albums too.
That's funny. That's funny. I like how you said that. And I agree with that. Like, right, real talk, I agree with that statement. Like, to say, oh, he's selling to the Republicans, I'm like, so like, I mean, yeah, it's people. Not everybody is, but not everybody has the same, like. People have all kinds of different political affiliations. It's like, that's not. I don't want to go down that whole rabbit hole. Or that little kind of tributary argument. I just want to say that there are contemporaries that are around that are very shy and very abashed in what it is that they believe, or they still try to be quote unquote cool and be down. And even Kanye himself tried to do that with the song with Lil Pump and I Like It, or whatever that song is called, and him being at those adult video awards last year or 2 years ago, whatever that was. And so I'm not saying that he has not been trying to live in a perpetual state of adolescence, but I feel like I see an about face with him, whereas that's something you don't necessarily see with many of his contemporaries. That his contemporaries are
I was like, most of his contemporaries are not even in the game.
That's
anymore.
What I'm about to say. Yeah. They're not on their hill, so to speak, where they can, when they do change, people know who they are. Like, I don't want to put Styles P in the same popularity, but
a good example would be 50 Cent. I mean, 50 Cent I would consider a peer of Kanye.
Yeah.
When the last time you
Well,
other than
that's
stars?
well,
you
no,
know,
no, yeah, right,
and Power.
exactly. But you still know 50 Cent to still be acting a fool. You still know him to do that. He
Right.
still operates off of
He's still clowning
controversial
people on
things and
Gram-
whatnot.
Instagram
Yeah,
and
you
stuff
have
like that,
you have Jay-Z that's pretending to be some form of
Oh Lordy, no, please, let's not.
he's pretending to be some sort of shaman slash viceroy for
You mean Sean Goodell? Sean Goodell Carter?
No. He's pretending to be some kind of he's pretending to be some
Viceroy is a good,
viceroy. He's pretending to be some kind of viceroy for like ancient artistic musical spirits and voices, and he's trying to be like he's a male witch is what he is, and that's a guy that is trying to pretend that he's somewhat sort of kind of he sort of kind of regrets the image that he put forth, but then at this like to ascend.
You think he regrets that?
I'm not saying that he actually does. I'm saying he's trying to pretend
that
he cares more about the community than he really does. But I would say, based off of his decisions, how he like the things in which that he puts forth,
that dude is a straight up capitalist.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's a contemporary of Kanye. Is my point, and so. He has just further and further that contemporary has further ingratiated himself into a system, whereas in my view, Kanye, to a degree, has not. Now I'm saying that I'm not dumb. I understand who he's married to. I understand the whole Yeezy empire. I get it. I get it. I'm not saying.
Did you see that suit that she had on at Joel Osteen's church?
I didn't. See, look at you. You straight TMZ in it right now.
I'm just saying, it looked like they couldn't find, like she ain't had no church clothes to wear. It looked like she was wearing Uncle Jeffrey's suit. I mean, the joint looked crazy.
That's funny.
So anyway, that doesn't look wild.
So and I just Eva, you want to say something?
No, I was just reiterating the complaint that some people had, which is that when he went to the black church, they were, people who know anything about the black church know that he should have, he would have had to dress up and in his church clothes and have his wife do the same in most liberal, historic black churches that tend to be, that tend to value the way that you appear before God versus more of the contemporary, mega churches. So a lot of people looked at the difference between the way he showed up at a black church versus at Joel Osteen's church and said, "What's going on?" Kim Kardashian was modest, even though she wore that big suit jacket. At Joel Osteen, they came any old kind of way to the other church. That's the Hotep crowd basically saying that he's pandering for the Republican Christian audience. And that's why he came out with this album. I would just disagree with that.
I mean, to a certain degree. I mean, whether or not he did it, you at least understand their complaint. You know what I'm saying? Even if that was not his intentions, when you see it played out, you could see where they would get that from. Because if you're saying, all right, Kanye, you might be on the twilight of your, of the apex of your career here. What's a way to make a quick buck? Rock MAGA, then come out with Jesus is King. White Republicans will eat it up. Whether or not you are sincere, who knows? Like I said, I hope he's sincere. But I'm not saying that I agree with them. I'm just saying that I understand the point of view.
Right.
I can see it and I understand it for what it is.
Yeah, I mean I do think that is that point of view is kind of unfounded, because like in any direction, people always make that claim like somebody's trying to make money. Right, because you can go the Marxist route, you can go the Colin Kaepernick route, you can go to I want to be woke, the woke route, right? And then people can make claim that there's money in that, which it is, right? So it's a form of I guess what you're trying to say is these people, in so many words, are trying to say it's a form of demagoguery.
Yeah, I mean that whole, I mean, I don't want to get off on that tributary either, but that. The
using my words, okay.
You had
that's actually my word. I invented it. Tributary.
Yeah, all right. Copyright infringement. Copyright infringement abounds here.
Webster's called me about that. They said, "What does it mean?" I said, "It mean
Webster dictionary or Webster from the TV show. Which one?"
The same person,
Oh, okay. But that Hotep crowd that reduces every every confrontation to a black white thing is, so it's like, all right, I get it, but like enough already, Anyway, you brought up Lecrae though, and
Crazy, yeah.
And something that I found interesting
Come on.
is so the past 5, 7, 8 years. Christian rappers have spent all this time trying to get away from like overtly Christian lyrics.
Many of them,
and then
not all of them.
Not all of them. Many of them. And now here you have this guy Kanye West, who even in the twilight of his apex of his career, still dwarfs the entire genre of Christian hip hop, and his whole album is so overtly Christianese.
Yeah.
I just find that interesting because I wonder how many of these cats are going to pivot now. Well, if Kanye's popping, let me pivot back. Let me pivot back to
Eva's shaking Eva's shaking her head from side to side. Now that either means no in Negro or yes in Indian. Which one is it?
It is a false dichotomy. I noticed that come up because there were fans and overtly Christian hip hop artists alike when Kanye came out were saying, see, we should always take a stand and make sure that we're presenting God's word, basically sermons on beats.
Oh boy, I think I know who said that. I'm not doing no names.
And
that's literally a person by another name who says that. But go ahead.
And we should have never transitioned to quote unquote positive rap or to
okay. Who said this? Who said this?
Do you want to name drop? Okay. I mean, because I know the ilk.
So this is in the ether. Okay, we'll take this offline and we'll talk about this.
But so I just think it's a false dichotomy because we have to understand what society and who society privileges, right? So society privileges people who were in the lane of Kanye West. So whether he decided to make demonic music or biblical music, he would still be the most popular person making that.
Oh no, my issue is not going to be with Kanye. My issue is going to be with them Christian rappers.
No, I'm
let the woman speak.
So by contrast, there's a little Christian hip hop artist. I think that NF is the highest grossing Christian hip hop artist, and then after that's Lecrae.
Woo.
But even when you look at their numbers, and there's a big chasm between them and the average Christian hip hop artist.
Yeah, ask AJ.
A subgenre, it's still a genre of a subgenre of a subgenre, and so that person who has such a low following compared to Kanye, whether they decide to be overt with their lyrics, or if they decide to hide those lyrics within some other sort of positive message, they're still only going to reach a certain number of people. So I think it's unfair for people to say, look, Kanye did it, I might as well have done it, because you all are there's a stratosphere and then there is the terrestrial.
Wow.
And completely different categories. And even if a person thinks, okay, I'm going to be bold for Christ and I'm going to go for it, you're still going to reach 10 people while Kanye reaches a billion.
Unfortunately, and I do agree with you, Eve. Unfortunately, and I say we because I always throw myself into the body of believers, we always base our actions on the results rather than the motivation. And my motivation, whether I'm overtly gospel-y or not, right? My motivation should not be, all right, well, this is what's popping, so this is what I'm going to do. You see what I'm saying? So like my interest in it is to see who pivots based on what Kanye's doing, not based on their internal motivation, right? Like, all right, this is what God is driving me to do, so I'm going to do this regardless. Yeah. Like, the cats who have remained to do that, shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out to Bizzle, shout out to...
Yeah, like Eshawn Burgundy.
God Over Money, Eshawn Burgundy,
them dudes that have still been doing it, even when it's not been what's popping. And so it's like, everybody else...
Flame is,
throwing it back right there. Okay,
he's still out. He just won and then lost his fight with Katy Perry.
Oh, he lost the appeal?
Wait, lost? Something like that.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
He has sued Katy Perry.
I thought they won the lawsuit. No, I thought they won the lawsuit.
They did. Then Katy Perry appealed and the appeal won. Something like that. But anyway, I'm just not trying to go on a deflection.
You want to say tributary for a third time?
I want to say tributary.
All right, 2 times the charm. But anyway, so I just wonder how many of them cats are going to now pivot back, based upon if Kanye makes this whole kind of Christian spiritual music popping.
I want to get in on this because
I bet you do, brother. Come on.
Yeah, I'm interested in. I'm actually interested in what the result is going to be for hip hop in general, which is very extremely influential. I mean, not influential. Very extremely easily influenced. And very big in
starting a trend,
following trends. Yeah. So and there has been a depraved trend that has gone on ever since the mid '90s, and I mean it's to the point now where it's just like it's mortifying what's out. What used to be a subgenre is now like very popular. For example, horrorcore. Horrorcore is like mainstream rap now. When you get into the Uzi Verts and the Young Thugs and the all just the celebration of death, which
what's the dude at Triple X
Yeah, right, exactly. So anyway, I'm interested in seeing. I said this. I thought about this when this first came out. When the music first came out, I was like, I'm interested in seeing who of the mainline rappers, mainline hip hoppers would then kind of change their music, be it a heart thing or be it just kind of influence kind of thing. And I'm interested. And sure enough, Kanye puts out a photo. Dr. Dre puts out a photo of Kanye and Dr. Dre and
working on
Dre putting some production behind the second release for Jesus is King, and I found that quite interesting because I was like, wow, there it is, and these are the quote unquote, I don't like using this term, but they use this term. These are the taste makers, right? And so where you may not necessarily have the follower rappers like a Fabulous or like a
shout out to Fabulous. You can sponsor me anytime,
I mean, I could go down and name it. I don't feel like naming them, but you have these people that follow trends.
The ASAP people.
They're right, exactly. ASAP Mob and all of that. Now
they're not trendsetters.
They're not trendsetters. They're just trend followers. The Playboy Cardis, all these people. I'm the Migos, all of that stuff. I'm just wondering, okay, now that they see that they're daddies, that they're fathers, and I say that term
loosely,
loosely, but also like these are the people that they're the children of these people. Now that they've done that, I wonder what impact is going to make in the flavor of music that's going to come out as they feel less and less. They feel more and more quote unquote pressure to ride a wave. And I'm also interested in seeing the ones that the quote unquote Bible people, or that term that I don't like to use, but whatever, Christian.
That's what I'm interested in.
The Christian rappers that have been trying to distance themselves. I remember I was talking with a friend, and she was like, how. Like you have somebody like a Creasy who had worked to distance himself from this label of Christian rapper, which was kind of a little one could say disingenuous, and I kind of understand both sides, but one could say disingenuous because he was winning all the gospel Grammys, but in the Stellar Awards, and he's kind of like. And after a while, feeling like it's kind of old, but then at the same time, it's like from what I understand, you have to enter yourself into those things, like
his label,
the label enters, in order for you to be nominated. So if that's not
get put on, and then once you get put on, like Cray started to get put on, and so once you got put on, you don't really need the stepping stone joints anymore.
Yeah, but like if you don't want the thing. If you don't want to associate yourself with the thing, then you don't compete for the award. And so
that's where it's disingenuous.
Right. That's what I'm saying, right? Yeah. So let's just say for whatever reason, he got the award. I'm not going to pay attention to the politics behind that. But for him to kind of just be like, I'm a rapper who happens to be a Christian, which
Right.
again, I don't like using that term. I like saying son of my heavenly father and all that other stuff. But for the sake of the conversation, it's like that's cool and I get it. And he's trying to grow, and what happened with the ambassador and the truth, and he saw all these dudes that he looked up to falling in public like that. He realized like, wow, like a lot of stuff cats weren't being genuine and real. I'm just going to be real so that doesn't happen to me. He's like, I'm going to let the air out the balloon right now so people don't lift me up, and then he gets surprised when I'm, certain things I do.
And that's actually a really good example because Cray was the biggest Christian rapper, right?
Yeah.
And you saw a bunch of dudes pivot just off of what he did, right?
Yeah.
So that's why
true.
Yeah. So that's why I'm using Kanye, because like Kanye is the son to Cray's moon.
Because basically, Lecrae, and I don't want to. I say this, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful of a whole bunch of other people. It's just,
but we gonna disrespect them.
No, so you have cross movement, and that's not to take away from the lamp modes or from the what's the dude from Kentucky, whatever, the little Beat Marts and Todd Collins and whatnot. And people from the Goatee Records and from the West Coast and Gospel Gangsters and T-Bones and
all that stuff.
There's not to be disrespectful to any of that. The nucleus of what quote unquote Christian hip hop or gospel centric hip hop was for many years was cross movement related acts, right?
The cross movement tree.
Yeah, the cross movement tree, right? And then from there you had out of that tree, you had different branches. One of the branch was 116, which is basically Lecrae.
Or tributaries, yes.
Yeah, or tributaries. That's like the 6th, 7th time.
There you go.
Yeah, you had 116. And then you had the wellspring of a quote unquote genre where you get like the Rapzillas from, right? Now you have Rapzilla, which is,
by the way, for people listening, we have gone way down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Of Christian
now
rap,
and so
welcome.
Welcome. So now fancy seeing you here. Now you have the Rapzilla. They're coming for now you have like Rapzilla, and you have all these other kind of like it's the central place where you have all these other Lecrae like or 116 like rappers, right, and so now you have him, like you're saying, distancing himself from certain things. Now, whereas he takes one step away from some kind of particular ideology, you got these other people taking a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, 5 miles. So,
because when Kanye was on,
do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand, because when Kanye was on Jimmy Kimmel, just to reinforce the point, remember Jimmy Kimmel was like, "Oh, so you a Christian rapper now?" And he was like, "Man, I'm a Christian everything."
And that
like he's like embracing the journey.
I do not think there is anything wrong, as I've said in the beginning of the series of podcasts, that I don't think there's anything wrong, first of all, with the categories that he's being nominated for. You're not necessarily competing for an award. You're nominated. So should he not be nominated? Should he reject a nomination? I don't think so. Second of all, there have always been two camps within Christian hip hop. And there have always been a good number of people in both. The Tunnel Rats and all those guys, Braille, all those people were in the former, or the quote unquote Lecrae camp, even though they predated Lecrae.
Wait, which Lecrae camp? And you also Jafar Life, you got to throw that one in there.
Well, but the people that she's bringing up, they predate Cray by probably a decade.
Oh yeah, Tunnel Rats.
Yeah. So Lecrae did not create this, and I don't think there were a bunch of people that followed in Lecrae's shoes. Those shoes were already there, and Lecrae put his foot in those shoes, even though, yes, he did have a larger profile, a larger following. So, and I also never interpreted him saying he didn't want to be limited to the Christian hip hop category as a rejection of the category. I think he just said, I'm an artist. So yes, I have Christian content. I have family content. I have a lot of different types of content. So I don't call myself family rap. No, I don't just talk about.
One of the things that people use to highlight the point is that he changed. But one of the points that people use to highlight on the thing is, and we're way off Kanye, by the way, people, but is on the old 116 Reach Records website. They had a very gospel specific definition of the 116 because it's based on Romans chapter 1 verse 16. If anybody was interested,
and they brought it,
and they changed. Yeah, well, they changed it. broadening it is kind of an ambiguous way of saying change it. They change the definition. Oh, I'm unashamed of a lot of stuff. And it's like, that's cool. Again, and then we had this discussion, on one of the earlier episodes. That's cool. Like, when someone does something.
Come on.
Based on an internal motivation, whether it be God or anything, that's fine. That's a genuine motivation. Cray saw what was going on with Deuce and them other cats, and you know what? I'm going to go a different route. Okay, bang. But everybody who followed behind that, just because Cray was the biggest thing in Christian rap, right? So they say, yo, that joint popping. I'm going to run behind that and do that without the internal witness. Is like, that's what I find phony and disingenuous. Similarly, you have now Kanye West. Again, even in the twilight of his apex, it still dwarfs this entire genre, who is fully embracing, right, a Christianese message. Whether it is genuine or not, visually, it looks like he's fully embraced it.
No,
so
I hear you. And for me, I'm just going to say this, that is inspiring to me. As a believer, whose faith informs, hopefully informs every aspect of how he moves.
Kanye's inspiring.
I'm talking about, it's inspiring for me to see someone who in this very secular world make the statement that Jesus is king, learning and growing, making references to Israel, all these things, and being being unashamed about that, and being unashamed about addressing the error of his ways. That's inspiring for me. And as a business owner, or as a person who does a variety of different endeavors in this world, I want all those things to be centered around my faith in my Heavenly Father, and to be subject to my just for me being obedient in Him. It's not just like this extra thing that I do or that I am, and I'm afraid because I'm afraid to offend somebody.
No, I agree. I mean, again,
that's
Kanye.
That's what I appreciate.
Kanye, and what he's done is, I would agree. It's to a degree, it's a little inspiring. But again, I just want to hammer that point in.
Yeah.
The Bible says that God judges the heart and intents of men and women. And I'm actually waiting, because y'all know how cynical I can be. I'm actually waiting for the slew of so-called Christian rappers who are going to run behind that train because they think that's what's popping now. Like in 2019, the dudes that was like, yo, it ain't popping, I'm just an artist, like the stuff that Eva was saying, I'm just an artist, don't label me. A year from now, we may be having a conversation like, yo, who brought Christ back to hip-hop? Oh, whoa. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm talking about.
And I literally don't think they should do that.
Right.
Because
I
just
agree.
like Shylin had this, Shylin talked about this dichotomy between, and this is several years ago, between music for the church and music from the church, right? So music for the church, is specifically music that would edify. And in music from the church, people who are in the church and have a lot of different artistic abilities, and they're just doing music. And so I don't think that anybody who's in that category should switch up simply because of Kanye. But I did want to say something to Avery's previous point. He said he wants to know what's going to happen in the so-called secular or mainstream field. Will what Kanye has been successfully doing with this album provoke other people to stop making this one-sided death rap and all this other stuff? And my response to that is, I hope that it goes back to the way it was in the 90s, not sonically, but my experience with hip hop in the 80s and 90s, especially in the 90s, is that there were different types of artists and all of them got play. So you had, yes, Apache, who, but you also had Queen Latifah, and they were both as popular as each other. You had Diggable Planets and the rest of the native tongues, but then you also had Biggie. But it seems like when the turn of the century came, now the people who got play and got people that the industry allowed to kind of come up and be expose themselves to the rest of the world were just that one-sided type of rap. So it would be interesting to see if this kind of gospel album within that general genre would kind of balance hip hop out again. It's amazing to me that it's so out of balance over the past 15 or so years.
Well, you got to know a lot of that is based on the money. Where
But
20
there was
20
money.
years ago.
There was money.
There was money in
hip-hop,
hip hop, but not like what it is now. I mean, come on,
Wait, but this is the trouble that I have with that type of argument. If there were capitalists who looked at hip hop and said, when there were capitalists who looked at hip hop and said we can make a lot of money from this, right? That was during a time in which hip hop was balanced. So why would you say I can make a lot of money off of this, but then change something that you saw would bring about such a high margin of profit? That doesn't make sense.
Jay-Z said 20 years ago that I ain't been rapping like common sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I don't think it takes. I hear what you're saying, AJ, and I think you're bringing some sobriety to something. But I don't think Eva is trying to be sober. I think Eva is being imaginative and aspirational, and I don't think it takes away from.
Okay,
Eva, I'm defending you right now. You know what? Forget it. Go ahead, AJ. Yeah.
I'm not asking.
She's like, I don't need your defense.
Eva, you gonna take my mansplaining?
So, but again, if you have a genre that's balanced, then what? And it's successful enough for you to want to invest in it and take it all over the world. Why change it? It was working. What are you talking about?
I got you, Eva. I'm not as I just want Jesus to come back. I could do without all of this, to be honest with you.
Right. Exactly.
I just want my savior to come back. But in the meantime, it would be it would be nice to I agree with you, Eva. It would be nice for a lot of the death rap to go away, and to have more for it to be more of a panacea of perspective. Anyway,
woo, and there you go, ladies and gentlemen. So
we're not pointing to something that never existed. That's the only thing. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So we do hope that Kanye does bring a little bit of balance to this joint. Who knows? Again, I just hope that I hope that the body gets to him before the vultures do. And I don't mean the church people, because there's some vultures in the church people too. I'm talking about the true body of believers. Because it will be uber inspiring for Kanye for this to be a legitimate conversion. And I mean, God can use this joint. God can, because Kanye will go places and be in front of people that you and I, to Eva's point, would never be in front of.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So for it to be legitimate, he would, God has to surround him with the body of believers. So that's my prayer for Kanye. I know that just because of his artistic ability, as he has clearly stated, he's the greatest artist that God ever created.
Artist or artist? You say he has autistic ability? Or artistic
ability.
Oh, okay.
He's the greatest artist that God ever created. But anyway, that just shows that he has to grow by still making statements like that. So, but, sonically, just because of his ability, we know that he'll still put out good music, regardless. There's still going to be good music he puts out because he's a good artist, right? But in order for his spiritual development and growth, can't do that in a vacuum. So, anyway, y'all know how we do. Very spirited discussion. So go out and check out Jesus King. Kanye can endorse us and sponsor us anytime. Anytime, Mr. West. Anytime. But y'all know how we do, whether we talking hip-hop, unbalanced hip-hop, balanced hip-hop, Christian hip-hop, death hip-hop. Y'all know we're going to keep God in the mix. So we do thank y'all for rocking with us. For Eve and A Swish, this is AJ saying peace.
All right, later.
When they come in, son, they rap hard. Still no fun in their squad. There they go, they're the sons of God.